Hello Queens and Kings, my name is Thandeka Shabangu. Welcome to my channel. If it is the first time here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Welcome to today's tutorial where we'll be doing our beaded rope necklace. I still haven't decided on the name to name this. Clearly, by the time you're watching, I would have decided on the name because there would be a caption. So, luckily, this tutorial is going to be a one-part video. So what we'll be doing I'll be demonstrating how to add beads onto the rope, adding our cups, and then tying a knot. Now, Queens and Kings, what materials we'll be using for this tutorial? For our rope, it's either you're going to use a white cloth or you're going to use a rope. And then you're going to need your glue, your hot gun glue. You're going to need your cups. And then you're going to need your beads and your upholstery thread and your nylon thread. Yes, so let's get started. Okay, Queens and Kings. So this is a rope that we're going to use. But we're going to use a longer rope. This is just a cut out from the rope that I was using. So I just want to show you the technique of wrapping. The purpose is to show you the technique of wrapping and how this rope comes. I bought it ready-made at China City Unit Jewelry. The name of the shop is Unit Jewelry in the China City in Main Reef Road. Yes, the one close to Langlaagte in Johannesburg. So I bought it ready. But if you don't find this rope, do not panic, Queens and Kings, because it's the same thing when we were doing umcha. We had a video where we were doing umcha and we're only using a white cloth. So if you have a white cloth, you can use that in replacement of this rope. Okay, so use the wrapping technique that you use when we're making umcha. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take my needle. I'm going to use a single thread, meaning I'm not going to join the ends of the tails for my thread. I'm just going to only make a knot in one strength, yes, of thread. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to poke my needle. Please leave out a little bit of space, like a 1 centimeter space when you start. This part we're going to cut off because we're not going to use this part. So just leave about 1 centimeter space, because at the end we're going to add cups at the end of our ropes. So that's why we need this space. So this is how it is. I poke my needle, untangle my thread. Yes, and this is how it is. And then from this point, I'm going to pick up beads. Now, there's no number of beads that you can pick, just a size that is manageable for your hands. Okay, so I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, so these are the beads I picked up. Yes, so you're going to use 2 hands. Your other hand will be grasping the beads, the thread. Ne? So you'll be using your index and your thumb to push down your beads and also to direct the wrapping. Now, your other hand will be holding your rope or your material. So you just will be directing your rope. Ne? So I'm going to be moving in is this clockwise? In a clockwise direction. So remember this, this is the tail of our thread, of our upholstery thread. You're going to make it lie flat. So we're going to wrap over it. Ne? So my index and my thumb is pushing down. It's pushing the beads down. At the same time, my other hand is grasping the rope. So let's wrap. There we go. This is our first layer. So you wrap, queens and kings. While you're wrapping, do not forget to push down your beads. Because I don't know why it happens, but there will be gaps in between your beads as you wrap. So that's why you have to make sure that. So you see I'm wrapping. At the same time, this is happening. I'm pushing down. I'm allowing the pressure. I'm adding pressure, pushing it down. But add enough pressure not to break your thread. Yes. And this is how it looks like. So make sure the beads are next to each other nicely. And then you wrap one more time around, only with your thread. And then this is the direction that we're moving in. Ne? Then you take your needle, queens and kings, insert it into the last 3 beads. The last 3 beads, and then you pull. And this is how it looks like. Now let's wrap one more time. Okay, so I added my beads, and let's wrap, queens and kings. Remember, your thumb and your index finger will be pushing your beads downwards. Ne? Your other hand will be rotating your rope or your material to help you wrap nicely. And here we go. Then once your beads are finished, what do? You wrap one more time with only your thread. And then when you're done, you take your needle, you insert it into the last 3 beads to secure it nicely, and then you pull. And you avoid knots, especially at this point, because it might be confusing. Your thread might hook onto your material or your rope. So, queens and kings, what happens if you run out of thread? Let's say you run out of thread and you have to rejoin your thread. Now, this is what you do, queens and kings. You're going to take your thread and then you're going to make knots at the end. You don't join the 2 strands of thread on one. Oh, let me put it on the side. You create a knot. I'll make 2 knots. Here we go. We have our knot, queens and kings. And then you're going to take your rope or your material. Then you insert your needle into the last beads. In this case, I inserted my needle into the last 4 beads. And then this is how it is. Now, remember, the short one is the old thread that ran out. And this is the new thread that we joined. What you're going to do, you are going to tie these 2 tails, these 2 threads. You tie them together. So this is our first tie. Ifindo. Konje, what is ifindo? This is our first tie, and you're gonna tie it the second time, twice, and this is how it is. Now, so what you're going to do, you're just going to take these two threads, the short threads, and lie them down like this. And then you add your beads and then you continue. So now I'm just going to pick up my beads off camera, and then I'm going to come back to show you how then do you continue with your wrapping. Okay, so I picked up the beads that we're going to wrap. We use the very same technique. Now, the only thing that's going to be a bit different now is the fact that you're going to, while you are wrapping, you have to make sure that your threads are flat. Your threads are flat. Okay? So the same technique, your index and your thumb, pushing your beads down at that tension, and then your other hand will be directing your rope or your material. So you're going to wrap over your thread, over your thread, and make sure your threads are nice and flat. Wrap over your thread. So this is where my beads stop, and I wrap with a thread, and then I add my beads into the last 3 beads. So this is how it's going to look like. So this is where you're going to stop, queens and kings, for the wrapping part. You're going to continue, but you are going to continue. I'm going to stop. You're going to continue wrapping your rope or your material until you get it into a certain size. So this is my rope. The length of this rope is 101 centimeters. That's around estimation 39.7 inches. Yes. So this is 101 centimeters long. So you're going to continue, make sure your rope or your material is this long. So what we're going to do now, we're going to add the cups for at the tip here at the end. So these are the cups that we're going to use. We're going to add cup this side and a cup that side. Remember when we were wrapping, I did ask that you should leave out about 1 centimeter. So that 1 centimeter is going to help accommodate our cups. And another thing that we're going to need is our hot gun glue or glue that you use. Yes, but I trust in this baby girl. This baby girl, I trust in this baby girl. So you're going to use our hot gun glue. Yes. So what we're going to do, we're going to add our glue and stick it into our rope. Sorry, the shininess is disturbing the brightness, and insert it into our cup, and insert the cup into our rope. Okay, queens and kings. Okay, queens and kings. So this is how it is. So this is my hot gun glue. I turned it on. Yes. So now we're just gonna wait for a while. What we're going to do, as I've explained. Oh, sorry, we've changed locations. You add your glue here, and then you stick it into your pipe. So I've shortened. I cut off my rope to make it shorter so that it can accommodate my cups completely. Ne? So this is how it's looking like, queens and kings. Please pardon me for the background sound. There's a beeping sound. I'm quite aware of it, but I can't do anything about it. Queens and kings, I apologize in advance. Okay, so we're just gonna wait for our glue to heat up so that it's ready. It usually does take a while. If you don't have hot gun glue, you can use any kind of glue. You can use a super glue. You can use, is it E100 or F100? Yes. Okay, so our hot gun glue is ready. You can see by the drips which it's ready to go. I'm just gonna let this one cool. Okay, so you add, I trust hot gun glue with my life. Okay, I trust it with my life. Then so you have to move fast when you're using hot gun because it can easily twist it a bit to make sure it accommodates everything. Okay, so you have to act fast, hot gun glue, because it's hot, number one, and it quickly cools off. Yes, so this is me. I'll switch it off, and then I engulf the entire rope with my cup. And this is how it's sitting already. Oh, let me not pull, that's too premature. It's too premature for that demonstration. I can pull this one. And then just make sure, queens and kings, with no rope or material is showing around, ne? Yes, so that your work is nice and neat. And then also make sure that there are no threads poking out on the outside. Everything is engulfed, queens and kings. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our last and final step. We are going to be securing our rope, ne? Yes. So queens and kings, this is our rope that we've been working on. So what you're going to do now, you're going to tie your knot. You're just going to take the two ends and cross them and tuck in one end. And then you pull on both sides. So you tie a rope. So once you've tied, you need to make sure that it's even. As you can see, you already have an even side. So what you're going to do, you're going to pull this one a bit and then also pull that one in that direction. So what we're going to do now, so this is our necklace in total. What we're going to do now, we're going to stitch on this side, stitch on this side, and stitch on this side. We want to stitch on these 3 points to make sure that our knot is nicely secured. So now let me show you how we're going to stitch. To stitch, I'm going to use a smaller thread used for 11 knot beads. This is my nylon thread, 2-ply nylon thread. Why am I using a much thinner thread? This is because it will be a bit challenging to maneuver through the beads. So if you use an upholstery thread, it will be a bit challenging because the thread will be thick and your beads are already bent. So this is what we're going to do now, queens and kings. Let me show how we do. So this is your neck piece when you're done, queens and kings. This is our knot that we created at the center. And make sure you secure it nicely, discreetly. So as you can see, there's a joint there and there's a joint here in those 3 places. You also join at the center of your knot. This is how your neck piece will be looking like when you are done, queens and kings. Now these are our cups at the back, nice access so you can be able to open and close it nicely at the top. You can also pair it with a nice pair of earrings. This is an idea of a pair of earrings. Please let me know if you'd like a tutorial on these earrings. Thank you so much for watching, queens and kings. I love you guys so much. Bye. Remember to love yourself, respect yourself, and honor yourself. Bye.